Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday morning, January the 18th. Another accumulating snow event is on the way to the Mid-Atlantic region. It's a very interesting storm system, has a strong upper level jet streak associated with it, and that is a key player. Also, there is what we call an inverted trough. The low pressure area will develop and intensify first off the Carolina coastline and then push pretty quickly well off the coast out over the western part of the Atlantic Ocean during the day on Friday. However, it will have kind of a trough axis, an area of low pressure extending back from the low pressure center all the way back to the coastal part of the Mid-Atlantic region. That will play a role as well. Let's first start off with a look here at the NAM model, the NAM model from 0Z last night. This is the conventional NAM model, and I think this model has a pretty good handle on the situation with what I'm expecting to see. I think the NAM model is suggesting similar ideas here. We'll first look at the vorticity field. It's kind of an area in the atmosphere, the upper part of the atmosphere, where there's a spin. The jet streak will play a key role in this upcoming system. And let's start off by looking at the early morning hours here on Thursday. This is the area of energy, what we call a short wave or a vorticity maxima in the atmosphere now over Montana. We'll just progress through the next several hours here through the day today, and notice it drops to the south and east, and it's fairly impressive at this point, but what's even more impressive is that it really starts to intensify as it drops south and east. Now we're getting all the way into tomorrow morning. This is about 7 or 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Again, this is pretty much can be looked at as a jet streak in the upper part of the atmosphere. These wind barbs here tell you what the wind speed is predicted to be here, and we're looking at 100 plus knots in this particular area of this jet streak or vorticity maximum as of early tomorrow morning. We'll go a little farther in time into the afternoon. Now we're at the mid-afternoon 21Z. This is mid-afternoon on Friday. And this is a key factor here, the fact that this slides from west to east across Virginia. And what I tend to look for is areas just to the north where there will be upward motion in this particular vicinity of the jet streak. Again, this is kind of look at this as a jet streak right here, and on the kind of the left front side of that jet streak is where you may have your best upward motion. Let's take a closer look at this particular time on a close-up view of the Mid-Atlantic region. And here we go. This is kind of a close-in view at the same time. We're in the middle of the afternoon on Friday. Again, this is our jet streak or vorticity maxima right here, sliding from west to east and kind of intensifying as it moves along. And that puts the best upward motion right about in this region. And when you have a jet streak like this or a vorticity max, one of the things it leads to is the likelihood for small scale or mesoscale heavier snow bands. And I think this is the region I expect that to happen during the morning and afternoon hours on Friday. Southeastern Pennsylvania across central and southern New Jersey, maybe northern Delaware, northeastern part of Maryland. And this is indeed where I believe the best snows will happen on Friday as a result of the location of that upper level jet streak. And again, heavier snow bands. You know, I got an email yesterday from the science writer of the Philly Inquirer, Anthony Wood, asking what are some of the biggest obstacles to snowfall accumulation forecasting. One of the things I said to him was that very, very likely that during a snowstorm you get these small scale or mesoscale heavy snow bands setting up, and those particular areas can get heavy snow, but just a few miles away may not get in on that heavy snow action. So right off the bat, you have some highly variable snowfall accumulation amounts over small distances. The fact that most snow events do develop these mesoscale snow bands, and again, this is so the trick is to try to predict the area where you think these will develop, and this is again where I'm thinking these heavier snow bands may form during the day on Friday. Again, southeastern Pennsylvania, including Philadelphia, maybe up to east central PA, and then much of New Jersey, the northern part of the Delmarva Peninsula, northeast, just to the north and east of D.C. I think D.C., yesterday I put out some snowfall accumulation estimates. No change in that thinking today. 1 to 3 inches on average in and around the D.C. metro area, 3 to 6 Philadelphia, southern New Jersey, central New Jersey, maybe 2 to 4 New York City, the kind of on the northeast extreme of this heaviest snow band area, in my opinion. So again, kind of sticking with that 1 to 3 around DC, 3 to 6 Philly, 2 to 4 New York City. General idea here. A couple other factors, of course, involved with snow accumulation forecasts is you have to take into account the texture of the snow. Light, fluffy, drier snow tends to accumulate quickly, more quickly than heavy, wet snow. And so that's another factor you have to consider as a forecaster. I think this will be on the side of the light, fluffy type of snow, as we're still in a very cold and dry air mass. Also, the temperature of the ground plays a big role, and indeed, the colder the ground temperature, the better the chance for accumulations. That too is quite favorable for tomorrow's event, as we have cold ground temperatures across the Mid-Atlantic region. Many areas still covered by some snow and ice from earlier in the week. So again, this is a key player here where I think these heavier snow bands will form tomorrow. By the way, you can do a search on that on Anthony Wood, Philly Inquirer, see the article he came up with regarding obstacles in snowfall forecasting. Now let's go through the NAM, the 0Z NAM model run in terms of the surface maps, and this shows the areas where it predicts snow, and that's shown in blue here. This is beginning the day here on Thursday. By the way, mostly cloudy skies across the Mid-Atlantic region today, and there's a little bit of a wave of energy that's producing some snow, places like Chicago, Detroit, on to Buffalo. That falls apart by the time it reaches the eastern part of New York State or New England, and stays to the north and west of New York and Philadelphia. Now, let's move forward. Here's the area to look at for where that upper level system is as we speak on Thursday morning. It drops to the south and east, and we're moving through on an hourly basis here all the way into the late night hours and here into the early morning hours. Starts to break out across the Mid-Atlantic region. I'm thinking starting time in DC maybe like 2 to 6 a.m., maybe 3 to 7 a.m. in Philly, and 4 to 8 a.m. in New York City. Initially, there'll be a low pressure area over West Virginia early tomorrow morning, but then the coastal low, or just off the Carolina coastline, takes over. And another interesting factor with this particular system is that, and we see that right now, this is starting to intensify as that upper level jet streak slides overhead from west to east. It's a midday forecast on Friday. Another factor here is, again, I mentioned at the top of the video here that this low pressure area moves well off the coast rather quickly, but there will be kind of a trough axis hanging back into the coastal region or even inland region of the Mid-Atlantic region. This is what we call an inverted trough. Even though the low pressure center may be well to the east, there will be kind of a low pressure extension from that center of low pressure out over the waters back to the Mid-Atlantic region. That too raises the possibility of some heavier snow bands. If you fall underneath this inverted trough, you can have some enhancement in the snowfall banding, and therefore an enhancement in the snowfall accumulation amounts. And again, this I think will set up in the same general areas that best upward motion associated with the upper level jet streak. That is southeastern Pennsylvania, northeastern Maryland, northern Delaware, central and southern New Jersey. So again, a very interesting pattern developing for tomorrow. A couple things to watch where that inverted trough actually ends up setting up and where that upper level jet streak slides from west to east. And right now I believe that will slide across the state of Virginia, and this inverted trough will end up setting up over the same kind of area where the best upward motion will be southeastern Pennsylvania down to southern part of New Jersey. Let's kind of clear the deck here and move a little bit forward in time. And again, you have that inverted trough right in this region right here as of mid-afternoon on Friday. The low is well off the coast, but you have this trough right in this region at this particular time, kind of back in that area. And again, this is the area, the best upward motion, I believe, and the heaviest snow banding on Friday. So let's move out a little bit farther in time. And notice still kind of hanging on right over southeastern PA, the Delmarva, southern New Jersey, late in the afternoon, early evening already over with in DC. I tend to agree with this kind of forecast map here. Again, low pressure area still intensifying well off the coast at this time. It continues to hang on in that same general area. And by the way, they should get accumulations all the way down to the coast of New Jersey. Maybe a little bit of mixing involved, but primarily a snow event all the way down to the coast of New Jersey. And then on the heels of that system, we'll just have a kind of a direct discharge of Arctic air from north to south, from southeastern Canada all the way down the coastline, and setting up for an Arctic blast over the upcoming weekend throughout the eastern part of the nation. Very cold temperatures indeed on Saturday and Sunday, heading into the day on Monday as well. It does warm up later next week. Now, this is the snowfall map. I don't often show snowfall maps from computer forecast models, but this is something I tend to agree with. That's why I want to show this. It's from the NAM model, and again, it has the same idea that I'm thinking that the best upward motion will be right in this region right here on Friday. Southeastern PA, maybe east central PA, up across central and southern New Jersey, northeastern Maryland, northern part of the Delmarva here, northern Delaware, Wilmington, for example, 3 to 6, Philly, 3 to 6, Trenton, 3 to 6. DC, meanwhile, maybe 1 to 3 inches down in that area. New York City, again, just on the northern edge of the best snows tomorrow. I'm saying maybe 2 to 4 inches in and around New York City. But again, this is what I'm thinking, and this is from the NAM model last night for the snowfall at the end of this particular storm system. Well, let's just wrap up with a look at the temperature forecast from the NAM model last night. Again, we have an Arctic blast that will come in on the heels of this Friday snow event in the Mid-Atlantic region. You can see the beginning stages of it right here over Montana in terms of the core of this cold air mass. Relative to normal, this is the largest departures from normal. We're talking again 20, 25 degrees below normal in Montana, which suffered through that severe cold just a few days ago, and that will drop to the south Andes. Here we are now later in the day today and going into the overnight hours, and that Arctic blast drops southward through the central part of the nation. This is now early to mid-morning on Friday, a little bit below normal in the Mid-Atlantic region where it will be snowing at this particular time. But then that Arctic blast just dives to the south and east, and here we go all the way now into Saturday morning. And you may recall the Arctic blast from earlier in the week had its core location, same area, over the Tennessee Valley in terms of the contrast with normal. These are the highest departures from normal across the Tennessee Valley again during the upcoming weekend, and we'll go a little farther in time all the way out to Saturday evening. And core of this cold air mass over the Tennessee Valley and the Carolinas, very cold indeed, keeping in mind we have snow cover already in the Mid-Atlantic region, so that will exacerbate the cold. Places like Philly, New York City, even DC will still have some snow cover on the ground here by the latter part of the upcoming week. And then we'll go out a little farther in time into Sunday morning, and it's still hanging on in much of the eastern U.S. of those below normal temperatures. But you can see already a lot warmer than normal conditions starting to set up over the northern plains. That warm up over the central plains slides to the east later next week will certainly be considerably milder places like D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City by the middle and latter part of next week. In fact, rain may very well come back into the forecast later the next week. It looks like this warm-up, this January thaw in the eastern states will continue right to the end of the month of January, which is the middle of the following week. So another accumulating snow event on the way for the Mid-Atlantic region. It starts early in the day in the I-95 corridor region from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City. Stay tuned to arcfieldweather.com for updates later on in the day. That's it for now. I'm arcfieldweather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian.